In the vast, windswept plains of an island long lost to time, a lone gallimimus grazes peacefully, unaware that it is being watched. From the cover of the tall grass, another prehistoric predator, the velociraptor. A subtle shift of the raptor's claws sends a tremor through the grass. The sound is slight, but enough. The gallimimus snaps to attention. In an instant, the tranquil morning shatters. The chase begins. The gallimimus bolts across the plains. The velociraptor darts after it, swift and relentless, its agile body weaving through the terrain. For a moment, predator and prey race in perfect sync. But stamina has its limits. As the pursuit stretches on, the raptor's breath grows shallow, its strides shorter. The gallimimus gains precious distance, finally slipping from danger and disappearing into the shimmering heat of the plains. Defeated, the velociraptor slows to a halt. Today's meal will have to wait, but the raptor's disappointment is cut short. A deep, rhythmic thumping trembles through the earth. Something colossal is approaching, and in this ancient world, the sound of footsteps can mean only one thing. A far greater force has arrived. In the fading light of a prehistoric afternoon, a lone Tyrannosaurus rex trudges across the open plain. Its massive footsteps press deep into the earth, each one a reminder of the long journey it has taken. At last, after hours of searching, the great predator has fed. The fresh scent of its kill still hangs on its breath as it walks, satisfied and powerful. But peace rarely lasts long in the Cretaceous. Ahead, rising from the marshland mists, stands another giant, a Spinosaurus. Slender but towering, the sail-backed hunter turns its long snout toward the intruder. With a thunderous bellow, it declares the truth of this place. This is its territory. The roar echoes across the water, a warning no creature should ignore. But the Tyrannosaurus does not turn back. Instead, it answers with a deafening roar of its own. Deep, shaking, defiant. Then, without hesitation, the tyrant lizard king charges. The ground quakes as the two titans collide. A clash of teeth, claws, and raw prehistoric fury erupts. The Spinosaurus swipes with massive arms, driving its rival back. The Tyrannosaurus snaps and thrashes, but the marsh beneath its feet slows it, giving the Spinosaurus the advantage. In one powerful strike, the Spinosaurus forces the T-Rex to the ground. Defeated, the tyrant pulls itself up, battered and exhausted. It releases a final, frustrated growl and retreats. The territory remains in the Spinosaurus's control. Unchallenged, undefeated, and still the ruler of its watery domain. A hungry baryonyx prowls along the riverbank, its nostrils flaring as it searches for even the smallest sign of prey. It lunges again and again at darting fish just beneath the surface, each snap of its jaws ending in a splash and empty teeth. Frustration boils over. It growls, low and guttural, rippling across the water. Then, a thunderous roar rips through the forest. In the distance, chaos erupts. An Allosaurus has cornered a battle-scarred Ankylosaurus. The Ankylosaur digs in, plates bristling, and with a heavy sweep of its bone-crushing tail, it forces the Allosaurus back. Trees tremble under the force of each blow. One close call, too many. The Allosaurus falters, then bolts, crashing through the undergrowth in a desperate escape. Sensing opportunity, the baryonyx steps closer. Hunger overrides caution. With a hiss, it breaks into a charge, hoping to claim an exhausted victim. But the Ankylosaur is no easy meal. It turns defiant and unleashes another powerful tail swing. The impact hammers the ground beside the baryonyx, sending shards of earth flying. The predator stumbles, more startled than injured, but the message is clear. Defeated and still hungry, the baryonyx slinks back into the shadows of the forest, breath ragged, pride wounded. Yet before it can disappear, the wind shifts. Something moves, slow, deliberate in the trees behind it. The baryonyx halts. Muscles tighten. It turns, pupils narrowing to slits. A deep rumble builds in its throat, and it roars, warning the unseen figure, drawing closer through the gloom. A final sound breaks the tension. The faint, fading cry of the ankylosaur, cut short too suddenly. Whatever stalks these woods tonight is far more dangerous than hunger. During the late afternoon of a warm, wind-brushed day, a young Giganotosaurus wanders across the open plains, hunger gnawing at its empty stomach. Recently abandoned by its mother, the juvenile predator must now learn to survive on its own. Its first attempts at hunting small dinosaurs had ended in failure. Its targets were quick, nimble, and easily slipped from its inexperienced grasp. Frustrated and growing desperate, the young giant continues its search. Then in the distance, it spots movement. Two adult triceratops grazing lazily beneath the sun. The Giganotosaurus lowers its head, muscles coiling, preparing for a reckless charge. With a thunderous impact, the young predator slams into the nearer triceratops, sending the massive herbivore staggering backward. But the momentary success is short-lived. The other adult immediately wheels around, horns lowered, and surges forward in defense. Its assault crashes into the Giganotosaurus with brutal force. Pain ripples through the young hunter's body. It roars a raw, panicked cry before swinging its head and shoving the defender aside. Injured and terrified, it seizes the only option it has left: escape. Limping and breathless, it retreats into the safety of the nearby trees, its sides heaving, its vision blurring. But defeat does not break it. As the pain dulls and night falls, the young Giganotosaurus begins to think, not with brute strength, but with growing cunning. It realizes it cannot overpower such giants in a direct attack. Not yet. So, a new strategy begins to form. Over the following days, the hunter becomes a shadow. It stalks the pair from a distance, watching, learning, waiting. When hunger becomes unbearable, it survives on whatever it can find. Slowly, patiently, it studies its prey. And then, at last, opportunity comes. One triceratops wanders farther from its companion, weakened and isolated. This time, the young Giganotosaurus does not charge blindly. It ambushes with precision, striking at the right moment, wearing the great beast down before delivering the final, fatal blow. The kill is messy, exhausting, but it is victorious. As the predator devours its hard-won meal, a new understanding settles in. This strategy, patience, timing, this will be its way of hunting from now on. An old Tarbosaurus stands frozen as the snowstorm tightens its grip on the island. Ice clings to its scarred hide, and each breath comes slower than the last. The storm is recent, but the cold feels endless. Still, the ancient predator refuses to accept that its time is nearly over. Its body is worn, its strength fading, yet surrender does not come easily. Exhausted and trembling, the Tarbosaurus lowers its head, fighting the urge to collapse. Then it notices a shadow, unsteady, barely visible through the swirling snow. It doesn't recognize what it's seeing. Its vision blurs, the world warping as its life slowly drains away. With a sudden burst of desperation, it swings its massive head, snapping its jaws in an attempt to strike the figure. Nothing connects. The shadow vanishes, as if it were never there at all. Confusion takes hold. The Tarbosaurus shakes its head, trying to clear its sight, but the world only grows more unstable. Blurred shapes become shaky outlines. It lashes out again, roaring into the storm, unaware of what truly stands before it. Fear and instinct collide as it prepares for one final attack. Before it can move, darkness creeps in from the edges of its vision. The roar dies in its throat. Strength leaves its legs. From a distance, a small Yutyrannus watches in silence, its breath puffing in the cold air. It tilts its head, unsure of what is wrong with the once mighty dinosaur. Then, without warning, the Tarbosaurus collapses. The Yutyrannus startles back for a moment, then turns and runs, disappearing into the storm. It rushes to alert its pack. Food has fallen, and the island's cold has claimed another giant. Young Yutyrannus returns to its pack, only to find the leader consumed by rage. 4 of their own have fallen during the assault on the Spinosauruses, and the loss has poisoned the pack with grief and hatred. Tension builds as the young Yutyrannus challenges the leader, their confrontation moments from erupting into violence, until the distant cries of a helpless Apatosaurus echo across the frozen land. The cries abruptly fall silent. In an instant, the pack is ambushed. Chaos erupts as, one by one, the Yutyrannus are torn apart, the snow stained with blood. When the attack finally ends, only 2 remain alive, the pack leader and the young Yutyrannus. Blinded by fury and grief, the leader casts the young Yutyrannus out, condemning it to face the world alone. Winter is unforgiving, and survival in the cold will demand strength, endurance, and hard-learned lessons. After the old Tarbosaurus collapsed and died, a Yutyrannus rushed back to alert its pack about the massive carcass they could scavenge. Food had become scarce after a brutal snowstorm wiped out many smaller dinosaurs, leaving scavengers starving, while larger predators claimed what little remained. To the pack, a giant dead dinosaur felt like a miracle. 5 Yutyrannus followed their packmate through the snow, using the last of their strength. When they reached the site, hope vanished instantly. 2 adult Spinosaurus stood over blood-soaked snow and scattered bones. The Tarbosaurus was already gone. The Spinosaurus were still hungry. Without warning, they attacked. 1 Yutyrannus was killed in seconds, its neck crushed in powerful jaws. Another was torn down by claws before it could escape. The remaining 3 fled, but exhaustion slowed them. 1 stumbled and was crushed beneath a massive foot. Another was dragged back by the tail and finished with a final bite. Only 1 Yutyrannus escaped, the one who had led them there. It staggered back to the cave and reported the loss of 4 packmates. The alpha listened in silence, then growled in fury. This mistake would not be forgotten. Young Yutyrannus returns to its pack, only to find the leader consumed by rage. 4 of their own have fallen during the assault on the Spinosauruses, and the loss has poisoned the pack with grief and hatred. Tension builds as the young Yutyrannus challenges the leader, their confrontation moments from erupting into violence, until the distant cries of a helpless Apatosaurus echo across the frozen land. The cries abruptly fall silent. In an instant, the pack is ambushed. Chaos erupts as, one by one, the Yutyrannus are torn apart, the snow stained with blood. When the attack finally ends, only 2 remain alive, the pack leader and the young Yutyrannus. Blinded by fury and grief, the leader casts the young Yutyrannus out, condemning it to face the world alone. Winter is unforgiving, and survival in the cold will demand strength, endurance, and hard-learned lessons. After being removed from its pack because of recent events, the Yutyrannus struggled to remain calm. The familiar calls of its pack were gone, replaced by an eerie silence that made every step feel dangerous. Memories of the chaos and loss still echoed in its mind. It knew the Allosaurus and the Carnotaurus were likely still nearby, hunting anything left alive after the slaughter. Knowing it could be next, the Yutyrannus refused to take any chances. Every sound made it tense. Every shadow felt like something watching. It also knew the Spinosaurus duo was probably still in the area, and that thought alone filled it with fear. Desperate to survive, the Yutyrannus attempted to flee the region entirely, pushing its exhausted body forward in hopes of finding safety. But escape was not meant to be. Without warning, one of the Spinosauruses spotted it and let out a deafening roar directly into the Yutyrannus's face. Frozen for only a moment, the Yutyrannus turned and ran. The Spinosaurus charged after it, snapping its powerful jaws and roaring in frustration as it narrowly missed its prey. With one final burst of strength, the Yutyrannus broke into a denser stretch of forest and collapsed near a cluster of trees. Its body shook as it struggled to catch its breath, listening carefully to the silence around it. Alone and terrified, the Yutyrannus realized the truth. Its pack was gone. There was no protection and no one left to answer its calls. As it stared into the dark woods ahead, one thought echoed in its mind. What does a Yutyrannus do now when it is truly alone? Yutyrannus was alone in the cold, dense forest. Snow clung to the trees and an eerie silence surrounded it. With its pack gone, every sound felt dangerous. Something moved in the trees. It froze, staring into the darkness, unable to make out the shape. Curiosity pulled it forward until it stopped dead in its tracks. A slender, elongated figure stood only a few meters away. Before it could react, boom, its vision blurred. Panic surged as it shook its head, stumbling and gasping for breath. When its sight finally cleared, the figure was gone. The confusion came and went. Then the figure appeared again, farther away. Yutyrannus didn't know if it was real or a trick of the mind, but fear took over. It ran. Branches tore at its sides as it fled through the forest. Still disoriented, it slammed headfirst into a tree and fell back as a sharp pain exploded through its skull. Terrified like never before, it forced itself up and kept running. Every time it looked back, the figure was there, silent and ghost-like. After long minutes, the presence vanished. The forest fell quiet. Exhausted and trembling, the Yutyrannus collapsed. The pain in its head remained, and so did the fear. Whatever that figure was, it had been hunting it, and the Yutyrannus knew the danger wasn't over. Yutyrannus was scared and shaken by the recent events, but it knew one thing for certain. It had to eat. It moved carefully through the forest, searching for a small dinosaur or dead carcass. Instead, it found something far more dangerous. A massive Giganotosaurus attacking an Ankylosaurus. At first, the Yutyrannus froze, unsure of what to do. Then it remembered that at least one Spinosaurus was nearby. An idea formed. If it could lure the Spinosaurus into the fight, the chaos might give it a chance to feed. The Yutyrannus sprinted through the trees toward Spinosaurus territory. Soon it spotted one and slammed into it before turning and running. The Spinosaurus roared in fury and gave chase. The plan was working. Leading the Spinosaurus straight toward the Giganotosaurus, the Yutyrannus darted past the larger predator. As it passed, it snapped at the Giganotosaurus, drawing its attention. The Giganotosaurus turned just in time to see the Spinosaurus charging toward it. The two titans collided and disappeared into the trees, locked in battle. This was the Yutyrannus's chance. The Ankylosaurus was badly injured, stumbling away from the fight. The Yutyrannus rushed forward, lunged for its neck, and snapped. The Ankylosaurus collapsed to the ground. At last, it was time to eat. Hours later, the Yutyrannus finished feeding. Most of the body was gone, though scraps remained. As it walked away, the Giganotosaurus returned after breaking off its fight with the Spinosaurus. It noticed the remains of its meal and growled in annoyance, but it wasn't angry enough to chase. The Yutyrannus was satisfied. It had eaten and survived, but its troubles were far from over. After the Yutyrannus finished its well-deserved meal, it vanished into the trees, its heavy steps muffled by snow. The forest felt unnaturally quiet. Then something caught its eye. The Giganotosaurus from earlier collapsed to the ground with a thunderous crash. The Yutyrannus froze. Through the drifting snow, it saw a tall, slender figure standing near the fallen giant. Barely visible, yet deeply unsettling, fear surged as its vision blurred. Unable to understand what it was seeing, the Yutyrannus let out a powerful roar that echoed through the forest. There was no response. Panic took over. It turned and fled in the opposite direction, crashing through trees and snow without looking back. Shadows seemed to move, and every sound felt dangerously close. It ran past two triceratops standing motionless, their massive bodies coated in ice. They didn't react, not to the Yutyrannus, and not to the unseen creature, ignoring it as if nothing was there. The chase stretched on until exhaustion set in. Muscles burned, lungs screamed, but fear kept it moving. At last, its body gave out. The Yutyrannus slipped behind a cluster of trees and collapsed into the shadows, panting softly. Footsteps approached. The slender creature passed by, moving slowly and deliberately. Time seemed to stop. When the presence finally faded, the Yutyrannus stayed frozen, afraid to move. Eventually, it believed it was safe, for now. What it didn't know was that this moment would soon change its life forever. The Yutyrannus fled from the shadowed trees, seizing the chance to sprint onto the frozen lake. Its sharp eyes, once blurred by panic, now captured every detail with chilling clarity. From the forest's edge, a slender figure lunged forward. This time, there was no distortion, no haze of fear. The Yutyrannus saw it clearly. The creature resembled the Therizinosaurus that roamed the island. But this one was wrong, horribly wrong. It had no flesh, no skin, only bleached bone. In its elongated claws, it carried a strange, unrecognizable object that glinted faintly in the cold light. There was no time to understand it. Survival demanded movement. The Yutyrannus pushed onward, passing towering dinosaurs that paid no attention to its terror. Each step echoed across the ice, every breath burning its lungs. Behind it, the skeletal horror moved without sound, gliding rather than running, its presence pressing down like a curse. Then, silence. The Yutyrannus slowed. At the tree line, the skeletal figure stopped. It did not advance. It simply stared, hollow eye sockets fixed unblinking on the lake. The air felt heavier, colder. The Yutyrannus followed its gaze instinctively, its feathers bristling as dread settled deep in its chest. Slowly, it turned away from the trees. That was when it saw them. Two massive Spinosauruses stood behind it on the ice, jaws parted, breath steaming, eyes locked onto their prey. There was no warning roar, only sudden movement. A massive claw slashed across the Yutyrannus' side, tearing through feathers and flesh. Blood sprayed across the frozen surface as the Yutyrannus cried out, stumbling forward in agony. From the forest's edge, the Reaper remained motionless, watching, waiting.